It took me so long to actually find a gun build that feels good at Chaos 35. Believe it or not, I've been wanting to get a gun build back again ever since the nerf to liquid cooling, but it just feels like nothing feels good anymore. And I know people are doing crazy things with Toric stickies and this and that, but it really feels lackluster unless you have the perfect gear. So this is what a gun build looks like in Chaos 35 without perfect gear, without primordials and all volatile stuff, because this is just what we had farmed up between myself and my co-op partner from Chaos 20 to Chaos 35. And this is more of a like spell build since the Queen's Cry takes a lot of spell bonuses, but I'm going to show you the skill tree in just a second. This is a Brr-Zerker Spellshot build, aka Chillmonger, and as you can see, it does Chaos 35 pretty well. It does the raid bosses alright, but honestly I don't see the point in doing the raid bosses, especially if you're solo, because the risk of losing all of your gems is quite high unless you are downloading optimal gear and stuff like that. But if you're just going through the game normally, farming up some stuff, I would highly recommend against farming the raid bosses. There's really no need to. In this game, no special gear or cool drops are going to come from it. No cool cosmetics, anything like that. Which, by the way, are there any cosmetics in the new DLC? Because I don't think there are. So this build is going to get you through Chaos 20 to 35. It's going to feel pretty good, but you need to have a Queen's Cry. It's mandatory because the Queen's Cry scales off of spell damage. Even though we have a ton of gun damage, and we can get a ton of gun damage because I believe those new rings are dropping at like gun 30% gun when they're supposed to be 15. But anyways, even though we have a lot of gun damage through Spellshot, it still kind of feels like crap if you use any other gun. So this is the Queen's Cry build slash Frost Spell build. Frost spells are really awesome with this build as well. We're going to jump into the skill tree right here, and you guys are going to notice some similar things that you probably notice with a lot of other builds, but we are going to be ambidextrous here with the spell shot. This is a Brr-Zerker Spellshot. Like I said, spellshot tree is pretty normal. We're going down to the capstone actually with this one to get our spell cooldowns and to take advantage of one slot, one kill for that extra gun damage. And then over on the Brr-Zerker side, we're getting a lot of the frost stuff and a little bit of the old ways, but not too much because you can kill yourself with the Queen's Cry. So be very careful that you don't run into the meteors coming down. But that's it for the skill tree. Pretty simple. We are not going down to like blast chill or anything like that. This is not a melee build. It is just a gun, frost, freezing stuff build. Here are the hero stats. You want to go into crit chance and damage, put a little into cooldown afterwards, whatever you got to do. Popping over to myth rank. If you're at Chaos 35, you should probably be above at least 250 myth rank at this point, but put myth ranks into what you want for this build. I don't know. Moving on to the gear, you're going to want to find yourself a Queen's Cry. If it's not volatile, that's okay. A lot of the clips from the gameplay that you're seeing in the background, we're actually using a chaotic one. This one right here. This one does not spit through ammo quite as fast as the other one. Our volatile one consumes 3 ammo per shot. So that's going to be a little rough if you are only using Queen's Cry for your mobbing phases, which you pretty much have to with this build because no other guns are going to feel really that great at Chaos 35, unfortunately. So pick what you will, but it works with this chaotic one as well. But you want the enchantment on spellcast increase elemental damage by 20% on your weapon. On your melee weapon, it's just a stat stick. You're not really going to use it to melee, so it doesn't matter what it is, but you want on spellcast increased damage dealt. You also want echo as your help mod in case you are going to be meleeing, but just keep in mind that you can kill yourself with the Queen's Cry meteors coming down, so you may not want to jump in and melee everything that you see. Moving on down to our shield, we're using Curse Wit because this is the only way to reliably get a lot of damage added to your build. So a lot of builds are going to be using this. But the Cursed Wit you want on spellcast increase frost damage by 30. And when your shield is depleted, you're going to be doing 100 more increased damage. So unless they buff up like Deity and some other shields that they give you bonus damage, you're really not going to see gun builds using anything but this shield. And then moving on to our spells for the enchantments here, we're doing after gaining a spell kill, Gain 50% to shoot an additional projectile for moderate duration. This is your gun shooting an extra projectile, if that's confusing to you guys. So that's adding to our gun build. The other enchant is going to be after casting a spell, your gun and melee attacks have a 30% critical hit chance for a short duration, so just boosting our crit chance on our gun. This is going to be on our Buffmeister, and then we also have the Glacial Cascade. You can use pretty much whatever spells you want that do a lot of damage. Ice spikes are nice, of course. This is sort of a frosty build because we got Brr-Zerker going on here, so we like the Sunder Cascade type spells. They just are super easy to use when you're on console using a controller, and you don't have to aim a ton, and you can actually use these while you're shooting as well, and it feels really nice. Onto the necklace, we've got this purple one here just because we haven't been able to find a legendary one that has Frost Spellshot on it, unfortunately, for whatever reason. But we've got Fire Rate, Gun Mag Size, both perfect for gun builds. Moving on to our rings, we've got this Magic Silicone Ring with spell damage, spell critical chance, spell damage. You want to stack spell damage on your rings because this is going to increase your Queen's Cry damage. I know it sounds weird, and on Thursday they might change this, who the hell knows, but for right now, Queen's Cry damage, for the most part, there are some things that don't act the same, but for the rings, spell damage is going to boost your damage with the Queen's Cry. It's also going to boost your damage with your spells, which is why we're kind of pairing a gun build with a spell build. And then finally, for our class item, we're going to be using the Alchemist. We're using the Cape of Tides to get that debuff, to get more damage with our Frost. This is only 50% damage, by the way. It's 100, basically what you're doing already, and then 50% on top of that. So this is a 50% debuff on the enemy, and we have a 25% chance to proc it on critical hits. We're doing a lot of critical hits, as you guys saw from the footage and from our enchantments and stuff. You want to get all damage and gun damage on this mod. This was extremely hard to get, and it is not chaotic, not volatile, not primordial, and it took us so long to get some of the gear pieces for this, and the gear is not even that good, which is what just is funny to me. Anyways, that is it for the gear, and that's pretty much it for the build. I'm going to have gameplay going on in the background for the outro here. I appreciate you guys enjoying the Wonderlands content here on the channel. I just wanted to say a couple things as we end the video. You'll be seeing probably 1 to 2 more builds for Wonderlands from me coming out, and then I am most likely done-ish with the game. I don't really like how the builds are getting less and less diverse. It feels like you have to rely on meta, like quote-unquote game-breaking skills and class combos to even do a moderate amount of damage at Chaos 35 without having some crazy drops and or being on PC and save editing your files. I am trying my damnedest to make these builds feel good on Chaos 35 and not require crazy amounts of gear that you need to build to farm the gear for. So it's quite a conundrum. And with how things are going, you probably won't see much more Wonderlands content from me. I have another melee build that is ready to go and possibly one more build. I've been trying for a week to make Clawbringer work, and it just does not feel good. And it may be because I don't have any primordial gear, but let's be honest, most people don't either, unless you are taking save files from other creators or save editing the gear yourself. A lot of people are not going to have primordial gear a week from release unless you got super duper lucky. And so I don't want to make builds with that gear, which A, I don't even have that gear myself, but B, if I did, I would feel like it was the gear driving the build instead of the actual synergies. And so it just feels like the build diversity has dropped off a lot in Chaos 35. And so you won't likely see a lot of builds from me going forward. You probably won't see much Wonderlands content from me either, because doing builds is probably one of the only things that I enjoy about the game. So the rest has gotten kind of boring for me, to be honest with you guys. Coming up in the future, we're probably going to go back to Destiny for a bit. We're going to be checking out Outriders World Slayer. And for the next couple weeks, I'm going to be playing the Overwatch 2 beta. If you guys are interested in seeing Overwatch 2 like streaming content here on YouTube or anything like that, or, you know, clips or whatever, Let me know in the comments down below. It's not something that I've put on the channel in a long time. I have old Overwatch 2 montages if you're curious, but we're getting off on a tangent here. I'm going to go ahead and end the video. I appreciate you guys hanging out and watching this content, watching the Wonderland stuff. I'm glad you're enjoying the builds. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, maybe not from Wonderlands, but from other FPS looter shooter type stuff, then definitely subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.